Hey y'all, welcome to After Midnight Paranormal's debut show of Paranormal International. It is featuring paranormal enthusiasts and teams from around the world to discuss their experiences, their unique experiences, all the different places they investigate, and just to get a little flavor of what's going on across the pond, as they say. My name is Pete.
And I'm Ann.
And we're with After Midnight Paranormal, part of Midnight Wolfpack Productions on YouTube. I guess now's a good time to shamelessly plug YouTube, isn't it?
Yeah.
So we have a YouTube channel called Midnight Wolfpack Productions. Go check it out. Give us a sub. Watch a few little bit of the content. There's a lot of stuff on there now. It's growing a lot. So yeah, check that out. So tonight we have a cool show. We have Gene and Kitt on from Other Worlds Paranormal, all the way from Newcastle, England, which I think is awesome. I mean, I don't know much about the town of Newcastle, but I have drank Newcastle beer quite a bit. Not really anymore, but at any rate, so we're going to bring them on right now. Let's go ahead and do that. We're going to add to the stream. There they are. Hey guys,
Hey.
or gals, sorry. How are things going tonight?
Oh, good.
Excellent, excellent, excellent. It's pretty late, I know. It's 11 for you guys. I appreciate your willingness to stay up this late.
We're used to staying up late.
Yeah, well, aren't we all paranormal people, night owls, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, Newcastle, England. Like I just said, I had to actually look on the map exactly where it was. But if you tell our audience exactly where you're situated in England.
Well, we're in the northeast.
Okay.
We're closer to Scotland.
Okay.
We're about,
Okay.
we're about 160 miles from Scotland.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
And we're about 400 miles away from London.
400 miles?
Yeah.
That's further south, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. London south, yeah.
Yeah, that's a good stretch. That's a good stretch. And Kitt, you're also from Newcastle, I presume.
Yes.
Okay. So why don't you talk a little bit about your team, how you got started, why you're in the paranormal, what kind of drives you, your curiosity, that sort of thing. If you could go ahead and start, Gene.
Yeah. Well, paranormal started with myself when I was 9. I saw my first spirit at 9-year-old. And as I grew up in a haunted house. So the paranormal's always been there for me. And as I got into my early 20s, I decided to take my wee sister on a haunted weekend. We stayed at a haunted hotel and we enjoyed it, and then since then we've always investigated the paranormal.
Mm-hmm.
Been about 16 years now.
Wow.
Wow, that's quite some time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're a veteran. Hold on. What about you, Kitt?
Well, mine comes from a personal experience a few years back, about 8 years back now. I actually saw a white apparition come through my house
Oh.
into my children's bedroom. And then it stopped, turned around and went back out. And it just piqued my curiosity.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I can imagine. And for those watching, I'm sorry. I know it looks like I'm kind of poking around and not paying attention to Kitt. I promise I am. We're just having little audio issues. So I just want to make sure that, I'm kind of unmuting her and muting her. So, it's my fault. It's not like she's not paying attention and doesn't even want to be here. It's me. So that's interesting. Now, Kitt, you said an apparition describe it for us.
It was like a little white girl. It was like all white, but I could tell she was wearing a dress. It was a child, and she just literally came through the door because I was sleeping with the kids at the time, and went in between the two beds, walked up to the wall, and she stood there for a couple of seconds, but then she turned around and went back out.
Oh.
So it was about 3 a.m. in the morning. It was strange.
And you never saw her again?
No, I moved away.
Yeah, well, I mean, I guess you had a good reason if it spooked you pretty bad. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, now Newcastle, how old is that town? Could you give us a little bit of backstory about Newcastle from sort of like a paranormal standpoint? Some historical events that may have happened that would lend themselves to that sort of thing. And let me start with Kitt real quick. Have to do it this way, sorry, because of the audio stuff, but we'll go ahead. So yeah, Kitt, maybe give us a little bit about your take on Newcastle and sort of its place in its paranormal aspects.
I quite like Newcastle. There's a lot of history, bloody history. I've been to like the castle there, and there's been some paranormal activity there. It's, I think, mainly because we're so close to the borders of Scotland, so like the Scottish-English battles.
Oh, a lot of conflict.
Yeah. So I think there's like spirits residual, or otherwise they just hang around.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we live in Kentucky, and we have a lot of Civil War history here. We had the North and the South really fought in this state.
Yeah. Now, granted, American history, of course, we're 240 something years old, 76, something like that.
I think so, yeah.
And so, our history goes back, obviously, the Revolutionary War era. Kentucky itself has a very, very long storied pioneer history as well. Daniel Boone, you guys have heard of him, most likely. They call St. Louis sort of the gateway to the West, but it really was Kentucky that was the gateway to the West. In the very early days, they came up through what's called the Cumberland Gap. And so, we have here, just the trials and tribulations of paving, blazing a new trail into the wilderness. Of course, the battles with the Native Americans, Civil War battles, all that sort of stuff. But, our history... Sorry.
It's relatively new
pales in comparison
guys.
to you guys. And that's one of the reasons why I'm so interested in this show, because, I'm a history buff. She is too. As a matter of fact, she knows a lot about English Tudor history.
Yeah, I'm a real fan of Tudor history.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think it's fascinating. There's not a whole lot of it, but what there is really interesting.
Yeah. Oh.
History.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I'm not sure how this happened, but you were muted too, Jean. Could you repeat yourself? I'm sorry. I hope you weren't talking too long.
No. I was just saying my little boy's into history, and usually he'll post history stuff onto the page. But he's been pretty preoccupied at the moment, so he's not been doing much history for the page.
Okay.
School work and that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Are you all doing the homeschool thing where everybody's at home? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel, Kitt, are you in the same boat with your children, if you have any? Yeah. So now, as far as we hoping that our kids are going to be able to go back to school, obviously only if it's safe. But I do feel like they really need to get back there, because it's not just sitting in a desk and studying. It's the whole socialization process,
Yeah.
So back to Newcastle and back to England. The reason why I brought up Kentucky's history and just a brief little bit about that is, it pales in comparison to the history of England. And, we're talking... hell, London was a Roman outpost, and then you have, for a millennia before, the Neolithic, the tribes with the Saxons, Angles, and so, in my mind, the older a place is, the more history it has, the more likely it's going to have some sort of activity. It's going to have spirits. It's going to have entities. And so it just stands to reason that you guys are crawling with them over there.
Yeah, well, we're right. Well, we're no far from the Hadrian's Wall.
Hadrian's Wall, yeah.
familiar with that?
That's the Roman
What's
wall.
that? Oh.
Yeah. It's still there.
Yeah, they built that to keep the Scots out.
The Scots
very
and the Nordics, the Norwegian, the Vikings. I guess, I don't know. At some point they had to, but the Vikings were. Gosh, when did Rome fall in England?
Hadrian's Wall was to keep the Scots out.
Well, that's what they just said. But what I'm saying, when did the Roman influence pretty much leave? Because I know the Vikings were like about 1000 AD when they ravaged northern England.
I know the Vikings touched down at Holy Island in Northumberland, which is not far from us. They actually took over Holy Island at one point.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
There's a lot of where we are. It's not too bad, but the further you go into Northumberland, it gets a bit more eerie.
More what? Eerie.
Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah. There's not a language barrier, but there's, I guess, sort of a diction barrier. You probably think I sound crazy with our southern accents.
No.
Okay.
I quite like the different American accents. You know, you can tell.
Yeah, it's the same with you guys, I think. I have a client that's from England, but she's up from near Wales, and so her accent is a little bit different than yours.
Yeah, I'm no English though, I'm Scottish.
Yeah, you sound Scottish.
Right. She lives in New England,
Yeah.
or in Newcastle, but is from Scotland. I apologize for that oversight, Jean.
That's fine.
So now, your team, right? Other Worlds Paranormal. And then I'm going to bring Kitt on to talk a little bit about that. But let me ask first, Jean, you're the founder, correct?
Yeah.
Of Other Worlds Paranormal. Okay, maybe let me ask you to, since you're unmuted right now, let me ask you to kind of talk a little bit about your team, and then I'll bring Kitt on, for her comments about that as well.
Right. The three longest team members are myself, Kitt, and my sister, who couldn't be on tonight because she's going to be up early in the morning. We're the longest ones. My daughter here, she's a trainee. We're training her up. And we've got another team member, Robson. He's training with us. We just started off. We started off by going to graveyards, and it led on to go. We got contacted to go and help people in their homes. We've helped people in their workplaces, and it just built on from there. We just started gradually building up. We've got loads of good locations coming up once we're free to go out.
Yeah.
And we can't wait to get back into the swing. Because we're getting contacted with people who are having paranormal problems, but we just can't do anything from home.
Yeah, because of the lockdown.
The lockdown, yeah.
It's just...
Yeah. For those that tuned, I don't know if we were talking a little bit before we went live. They were just describing to us the lockdown procedures over there in Newcastle. I'm sure all over England. Yeah, if they get caught outside, they get fined a hefty amount, about $250 without a good reason.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's pretty harsh. $250 isn't that's not chump change really.
So I'm assuming you go to the grocery.
We're allowed to go to the supermarkets. We're allowed to go to doctor's appointments.
So yeah, you have to have a good valid reason. Yeah.
Yeah,
If you
but
just-
if you're caught outside for no reason, they're going to fine you.
Oh,
Yeah.
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 So,
Now let me ask Kitt. Kitt, So, if I heard correctly from Gene, you're also a founding member of Other Worlds?
Yeah.
And you mentioned something, and since we got Kitt, you mentioned, Gene, about training. So you you also have you have a sort of a training regimen for your paranormal inductees, I guess, something like that. So Kitt, can you describe that maybe?
Yeah, we'll take them in, we'll tell them like what we do, and we'll let them try the equipment and stuff and teach them how we use them and just get them familiar with everything.
So is there just beyond familiarizing themselves with operating all the various devices, do you have some sort of overarching philosophy on your team, in terms of how you approach investigations, or your I guess your feelings about, I don't
We
know,
know
what am I trying to
people
say?
like we know people that are more, I don't know if you want to say traditional.
Mm-hmm.
They use dowsing rods and things like that. And then we know people that are more technologically, they use a lot of cameras. They use a lot of meters, that sort of thing.
That's me.
Yes.
I sometimes I've got to watch how much time I spend fiddling with all that stuff when I'm on an investigation, I tell you.
But we tend to throw them in the deep end.
Oh, just toss them out there and let them swim?
Yeah, well, they had just started training, and we got this big case coming, and it was a haunted hotel, and this person asked us to come in and help them, and I thought, right, I'll take the two trainees in Kitt with me, and we decided to go, and I didn't think the trainees were going to last. Because this place was so active, the Robson, the young laddie, it actually attacked him to the point where he was unwell. He started to vomit and he was really ill, and I thought, right, so I had to take them outside and I had to give them protection. I was like, you have to take spiritual protection, because this place just we weren't expecting the activity that we got.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
But it was really bad, and it took them a while to recover from that place.
Wow. Now let me ask Kitt. So Kitt, actually let me unmute you and then I'll mute you. Now you sort of went into a little bit of an investigation. You said you started in graveyards, and that's kind of how we started. Mm-hmm. Just out of personal curiosity. I mean, we both grew up with paranormal experiences, but excuse me. What I'd like to maybe hear about is a specific investigation that you guys have been on, one of your more active, crazy investigations. Where was it? What's the history of the place? What makes it so notorious and infamous? And maybe if I could get Kitt to kind of lead into that a little bit.
Well, the most active place that I've been to, we're not allowed to actually say the name of the place, but we had things flying off walls. We had doors slamming. We had voices recorded. It was amazing. It's scary, but amazing.
Yeah.
So the voices that you recorded, could you identify who they may have been, or?
I don't think they said any names specifically.
Okay, I asked because I'm just like, was it someone famous? was it William Shakespeare maybe? Now, Gene, what about you? Because when we talked a little bit last week, I guess, when we were discussing you coming on, you mentioned a castle that you had been to. Could you tell us a little bit about that castle?
Yeah, it's called Castle Keep.
Castle Keep.
Yeah, and it was built to keep the Scots out. It was like they've got the top part where there's like a watchtower where they used to keep watch for the Scots coming over. And when they came over, obviously the English were ready, and they had their men out. But at the bottom of the castle keep was where they used to store. When they caught the Scots coming over, they would put them in the bottom in the dungeon, and they would basically starve them to death in the dungeon.
Oh, wow.
And I investigated there, and I vowed I would never investigate there again, because it was like, for myself, it was like walking on a mass graveyard. It was just, for me, it was because a lot of Scottish people and a lot of English were killed there. And I don't know how true it is. I have looked it up, and they do say a part of William Wallace is kept somewhere in that castle.
William Wallace? Wow.
Yeah. So I don't know how true that is, but if it is true, then
Well, he certainly raided the border a lot. So.
Yeah.
well, apparently his remains are meant to be in all parts of
On parts of the country.
Yeah.
the country.
So why would you, Kitt? Were you on this investigation as well?
No.
Okay. Okay. I was wondering because I was going to ask Jean. You said that you wouldn't go back. Why is that?
It was like they knew I was Scottish, and it was like,
Oh, you felt.
you know, I just got an uneasy feeling, and it was like walking on a mass grave, and you could feel the sadness between the Scottish and the English, and it was just like, no, this is no for my wee sister wants to go back there and investigate, but I'm like, no.
No, you don't want to go.
Right. It was too a little too dreadful.
Yeah, just the overcoming feeling, because there's a mixture of bodies in that place, English and Scots, that were killed on there, and they're stored under the ground, and it's a bit like, no.
Yeah, just, yeah.
It was just
Yeah,
like,
I can imagine. I can imagine. So you felt the presence, and obviously had a bad reaction.
Yeah.
Was there any activity in terms
Yeah.
of sightings and?
yeah, well, we were sitting, the stuff that's in the castle's all replica. It's not the actual real stuff, but it's replicas. And we were sitting at a table, and the person was asking out for them to come forward, could they move the table, and we weren't getting any action. But then as soon as I says, yous are not happy because I'm Scottish, and the table moved, and it pinned me into the chair.
Oh,
So I was pinned up against the chair, and the person that was sitting with us says, maybe you shouldn't speak, as if they say you're gonna get attacked. And I was like, oh, I don't know what to push my luck.
Right.
But there were shadows. You could hear moaning, like someone moaning. I think that section where you heard the moaning, because it was like a moan of pain. It was like somebody in pain.
Like someone was in the midst of being injured or killed.
Yeah, like
someone
torture.
was.
Oh, tortured as well. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and it was a good experience. It was a good experience, but
How was it a good experience? In terms of more experience?
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like the experience was good in what way?
In what way? It was good as in the other people that were around got what they wanted. They wanted proof.
Yeah.
I, I didn't need that much proof because I could feel it when I went in, but the other people who have never been on an investigation got the experience that they wanted. So
Yeah.
it was good as in that way.
So it was provided some validation for people
Yeah,
about things,
People
right?
that weren't sure.
yeah,
Right.
validated quite a lot.
Right. Now, Kitt, since you weren't on this investigation, or were not on this investigation with Gene, do you have a similar story about an investigation at a historic place, or something that you were on, just either as a team or by yourself?
Not really.
Okay.
Not as far as professional school.
Pardon me?
You've muted her.
Gotcha. Okay. Okay. So now this castle. What else? You know, it's funny. We you know, I was mentioning a little bit about our history in Kentucky. It obviously does not even approach the history of your area. But we have a lot of jails here in Kentucky, old jails.
Poor farms.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I don't know if Denise and Ernie are watching right now. They may or may not be. They got married last week at the Old Stone Jail. I think you mentioned something about that to me. I think you thought it was Ann and I that got married.
No.
No, I made that mistake several years ago. Oh, sorry. But man, I totally lost my train of thought. Oh, jails, yeah. So we've been to a couple jails, and that kind of, when you mentioned the dungeons,
Yeah.
that reminded me, because the conditions back then. What happened to our focus is messed up. Do I look kind of blurry to you guys?
Yeah, just a little.
I don't know. That's what's going on there. I don't know. Here, let me take myself out of the stream. I'll be right back.
Okay.
Oh, that's weird. I don't know what's
Camera's
going
out
on.
of focus for some reason.
I don't know. And this is a brand new
Oh, there
freaking
you go.
webcam. There
It's
you go. So, do you have, similar? I mean, I know you mentioned the castle and the dungeon. In the area, do you have something similar to these kind of jails? Because like I was saying before, I got distracted. The conditions were in there were just so horrid. Obviously, so much misery and pain. They almost have to be haunted. I mean, we were in
The jail that they got married in actually was built back in the early 1800s, I believe. And it's made out of one piece of stone. So it's a really odd feeling when you go in there.
Don't let me forget about stone. Go ahead.
But anyway, it was in use up until 1986. One of the guys that's a tour guide there said, he remembers riding his bicycle by it as a teenager, and there were no windows. There's just these slits, so it was just open to the weather. And inmates would, say, "Give me a cigarette," "Give me something." Just people were just all the way up till 1986.
Yeah. Yeah, that's like hell. Dog shelters are more protected than that.
Yeah.
So, are there, so on that subject, is there anything similar that you've been on? That's what I'm curious about, hearing about the places you've been, and, and some of the investigations, like that story about the castle that potentially,
you all have workhouses there, I think. We have poor farms. I think they're kind of similar.
Yeah. We've got workhouses. We have prisons up in the northeast are still active. They're still being used.
Oh, wow.
So if we wanted to go to a prison to investigate, we would have to travel quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
I think the closest one would be Shrewsbury prison to us. But in the northeast, most of the prisons are still in use.
It's still in use after all that time. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's quite
That's pretty amazing.
sad. It's quite sad because we did have an asylum in the northeast, but they've demolished it. they tend to demolish all the old buildings. So we can't get in to investigate them.
Oh.
All right, that's too bad. That's too
Yeah,
bad.
it's like, because we'll be watching, when we're watching American, shows over your way, and you get to go into all these prisons and asylums,
Yeah,
and it's like,
that was going to be part of the conversation as well. We were curious about sort of your impression of, the United States, through a paranormal lens in terms of, what kind of shows do you guys watch, if any? What sort of places have you heard about? Whatever sort of questions, that you may want, because we've been to a lot of our followers have been to a lot. So let me go ahead and unmute Kitt, and maybe she can comment on that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I love watching the American shows, watching Taps and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what's Leslie's favourite place?
What's our favorite place? Wow. I don't know. I mean, right here in the state of Kentucky, we have Waverly Hills. I don't know if you all have heard of that. I actually grew up in Louisville, Kentucky, which is where Waverly Hills is located. And it had closed when I was in high school. So myself and two friends used to break in there routinely because all the old stuff was still in there. So you could, run up and down the halls, and the place is gigantic.
Yeah. Yeah, it's huge. I personally did not have a very active night in Waverly. Clearly, it's an active place. I personally did not. Are there any other places that you're interested in hearing about, or from?
What's it just had a mind blank. There is it.
Yeah.
Is it West? It's the one in West Virginia. Is it the penitentiary?
Oh,
Penhurst Asylum.
Penhurst. Yes.
Yes, that's it. Yeah.
We have not been. I'm not 100% sure whether other members of the Midnight Wolf Pack have been there or not. But that's a place that we had planned to go. We're thinking about going to do sort of a little circuit up in that way, because Penhurst Asylum is very, very close to Gettysburg, which was the biggest, bloodiest battle in the Civil War. Thousands and thousands of people died on that day. But, Penhurst Asylum. Now, we have also been recently to Brushy Mountain State
Brushy
Prison.
Mountain. Yeah,
The Brushy Mountain State Penitentiary in Tennessee.
Pretty hair-raising.
That place is the real deal. I'm telling you, it's the real deal. I don't want to get into too many details because we have some pretty cool things in the works. I mean, they are in the works. We were going to go back this weekend. It fell through, unforeseen circumstances, but it's been rescheduled and stuff. But that's another. The Brushy Mountain is definitely right up there with Waverly and Penhurst.
We actually have a town that's not really far from here in Lexington. It's about 45 minutes down the road, called Perryville, and it was the scene of one of the bloodiest battles in the state of Kentucky. It was so bloody that all of the houses in Perryville, which is it's a kind of a small little quaint town. You can go into any of the houses that are still standing from that era and find blood stains on the floor, find bullet holes in the walls. Yeah, it's all still there.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
And it's not like it's one or two houses. It's like every house.
The whole town.
Into.
Yeah. The whole town's haunted. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, I kind of forgot, or I overlooked asking you this several minutes ago when you were talking, Gene, and I also want to direct this question to you, Kat. Now, you said when you were at that castle and you sort of felt the weight, you felt like, since you're from you are from Scotland, there may have been some animosity towards you, and that kind of made me think that, are you a clairvoyant? Do you consider yourself sort of a medium and that sort of thing? I guess the best way to say is, do you have that extra sensory perception that a lot of people don't have or have not developed yet?
I've been able to communicate with spirits since I was 9.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I would say
And
that.
It's hard, but I know how to close and I know how to open. When I'm at home, I close down. Because this is my home and I don't want to bring them here. So I tend to close down. But I have this thing where I could be sitting at home and I'll wander off somewhere in my head. And then I'll send a message to a friend and say, "Are you alright?" And they'll message back and they'll be like, "How do you know?" And I'm like, I just had a vision. And they'll be like, "Stop it, you're freaking us out."
Yeah.
I just seem to wander off, and I know I prefer that side to the actual being able to see spirits.
I can do that sometimes. Sometimes I can answer questions before people ask me.
Yeah. It's
Now, Kat. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
no, it's fine.
Oh, I was just going to ask Kat if she has, Kat, do you have a similar?
Kitt.
Did I say? I keep saying Kat.
It's a Kitt.
I'm sorry, Kitt. I think she's elbowed me like 2 or 3 times. Clearly, I'm wearing these glasses. They're not helping. They're just making everything freaking fuzzy. They work when I'm like this, but I don't think that's probably going to work, and I can't go that far back. I'll shoot off the globe behind
I've
us.
dug a hole in his ribs.
See, now you made me forget what I was asking Kitt.
Yeah, well, do you remember the important part?
So, Kitt, tell us a little bit about, I know you told us already about like your first paranormal experience, which is kind of the reason why you got into doing this, and it piqued your curiosity. So, I know it's kind of a weird question. I'm not asking like, what are your goals in 5 years? This isn't a job interview. I hate job interviews. But so what is it about the paranormal that makes you want to learn more and experience more? Is there something that you yourself personally want to have answered or satisfied?
It's mostly proven that there's life beyond death. I've always felt something around us from being little, just strange things, and I've always been drawn to like energy and stuff. So it's just looking for validation, really.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I feel the same way. Sorry, there's a little echo here. I'm going to try to manage it. I'll talk a little slow. I'm the same way. I think that's an overriding thing for all of us. It's what actually happens, right? Now, going back to the international aspects, let me go ahead and put you on mute again. Sorry. So, in any of your investigations, do you think you have contacted any famous figure from history that we over here may be aware of? I spoke with a gentleman from London. He's going to be on a show in a couple weeks. He said he was in the Tower of London, and he felt as if he was in the presence of King Henry VIII. At least that's what I thought he said. My hearing's not that
Well,
great.
that would make sense.
Yeah. And so, do you have anything similar like that, Jean?
No, we've never come across anybody famous or anything like that just yet.
Mm-hmm.
Just yet. We have got EVPs, but we don't know who they are.
They're just people.
So you never know.
That's true.
You never know. But on the other hand, do you know who you're talking to though?
That's true too. Are they telling you the truth?
Yeah,
Exactly.
they're telling you the truth. You could get a spirit that comes up to you and says, "I'm Michael Jackson."
True. How would you know?
Well, there's a lot of the living that are full of it, and I imagine they'll still be full of it when they're gone, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So, I was gonna ask. I didn't bring my little note card for questions. I'm sorry. What time do we got here? We got about 6:42. What about you, Kat?
Kitt. I'm like gonna get a cue card and hold.
Yeah, I'm looking down here. I'm looking down here at the list. I'm seeing all the peeps. I see Matt from UK Ghost Explorers, Jason. Hey, Crystal, you're there. Shannon just popped on. Ernie, we got the whole crew. So glad you could make it here.
Kitt, like kittens. She's
Kitt like
cute,
kitten.
like a kitten.
Kit like a kitten. We've got. It's amazing that our cats have not come over here and knocked the webcam and over and the light and the green screen they usually do. Did you slip them something in their cat food during dinner tonight or something?
No, I just
Okay.
think they're being entertained upstairs.
So, I wanted to open up, if anybody that is watching right now, if they have questions for either Gene or Kit, shoot them to me, give them your name, write your name in there, where you're from, of course, and what question that you may have, and we'll see if they're rolling in. I can't really tell who all is watching at the exact moment, but, maybe we'll get some questions. So, now...
You said you guys did some private investigations.
That's what I was going to write down.
Did you just get like, it's like word of mouth, like you do one and then that person sort of refers you on to someone else?
Yeah, usually we'll get a message come through from the page.
Mm-hmm.
And they'll explain that they've got problems at home, and we'll ask them to monitor. And if it
To what?
To monitor.
we'll ask
monitor.
them to monitor the activity, and if that activity gets worse and worse, then we arrange to go to their homes and get to the bottom of it for them.
Right.
We take our sage along with us.
What? I didn't hear.
We take our sage to do a cleansing.
Oh, okay. So you do like a cleansing for
Do the
them.
cleansing.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna ask Kit.
Good.
My rib cage is sore. I'm gonna get it right from this point on. See, I've lost my train of thought again. But hey, at least I'm getting the name right now. So yeah, if it's funny that you mentioned that about residentials. That's something that we after midnight has not done a whole lot of. Other persons from our team, Midnight Wolf Pack, from Pac-Man Paranormal and the Black Wolf, they have a whole heck of a lot more experience in that, and in that than we do. And from all accounts, from what I've heard from everybody that does it, the residentials are kind of the real deal. I mean, this is where you're going to really run into some potentially nasty stuff. And I was just going to ask Gene or Kit real quick. I know that's a pretty old joke already, isn't it? Kit, real quick. Have you had anything like that on a residential that you could speak about?
I haven't been on one personally, no.
Okay. I was just curious. Gene, what about you on the residential? Do you have you found that they are? I mean, how are they different than some of your other investigations? In your experience, through your lens.
Through my lens, I've got to look at the fact that was that spirit there before that person moved into the property? What's that person done to the property for the activity to kick off? So we've got to look at, it's like a knock-on effect. It's a bit like my home. If I do something different, I know I'm going to upset the spirits. So it's about, I try and let the people know that work with the spirits, say to them, I'm going to be doing some improvements. I'm not going to be changing anything else. I'm just going to be updating the property, making it comfortable for us to live in, make the spirits more aware. Because if you go and start knocking walls down, they're going to get angry.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
going to get angry. So
You know,
we just ask
sorry.
them to work with the spirits.
Did you hear that? I interrupted and I heard a bad echo.
I don't know. I didn't hear anything.
What she said. Okay, well, you know what? I'm seeing a couple things come in through here. Matt, whom I spoke with earlier, who's the guy in London that I mentioned, he's with UK Ghost Explorers TV. I mentioned, if you remember earlier, that he was the gentleman who felt as if he was in the presence of Henry VIII. And he just commented and he said, I saw Henry at the Hever Castle. Hever, Hever. Yeah, and he says, and the guides introduced them. Also, the Most Haunted, I believe, Most Haunted, I guess, would be a show. I know
Later
Most Haunted. I've
Henry
seen
VIII
that one.
haunted that building.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
I think Hever Castle was Anne Boleyn's home.
Oh, yeah.
I believe.
And then you guys, hey, Gene, you know Roseanne McKenzie.
I do, yeah.
She commented. Oh, okay. Is that, you know, I don't know your last name. I just realized, Gene. It's a McKenzie, I'm assuming.
But,
Or are you married?
I'm married. It's McNeil now.
Okay. Well, she said, hey, Gene, the Jedburgh jail opens for paranormal investigations.
Is that good news?
Jedburgh.
Jedburgh.
Jedburgh?
Jedburgh.
Okay.
Jedburgh.
Like Edinburgh?
What's that?
It's Jedburgh. It's a bit. I'm not sure of the history, but I do know it's a very old prison.
Mm-hmm.
So it might be one to look into for ourselves there.
Yeah, something to check out. Yeah. She, Matt mentioned, what was the show again?
Most Haunted.
Most Haunted. Isn't that the show that has the redheaded woman with the real super straight hair? Do you know which one I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you guys watch that show? Because I watched it before, and they seem to catch some pretty cool stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry, I don't know why I did that. I was just.
What was that? I missed the joke.
The very entertaining show.
Okay, gotcha. And you know, and you got to excuse me. My brain is like a pinball machine on tilt. It's like a bubbling cauldron of some really nasty witch's brew. It's always so the thoughts are just like every now and then I'll remember a question. And you mentioned unbelievable.
What?
Unbelievable.
What?
I'm kidding. I wanted to ask you, what do you think would be your most impactful paranormal moment beyond what you told me about the dread that you felt at that castle? What is your like most biggest event, the gotcha moment, the doing, you know, this is real? Well, not real. We know it. We know that you know it's real, but just something that you can say was like, you know, out of all my experiences, this right here was the biggest deal.
I think it's got to be the hotel that we went to. That really, well, see, I lived in a haunted home growing up, so we've seen loads there. But the hotel that we were at a couple of years ago, that really did open our eyes to this stuff is real. It doesn't just happen behind closed doors, but it happens in other places.
Yeah. What about you? Oh, sorry.
Sorry, no, you can ask it.
Oh no, I was just going to ask Kit, what would she sort of consider her holy grail of paranormal experience? Let me get you off mute here, Kit. Okay.
I'd say mine had to be the undisclosed place because it was so much from that, and it was physical as well.
Yeah.
So.
Physical in what way?
Pardon?
Physical in what way?
When the pictures came flying off the walls, doors slamming, things like that. So.
That must have been something that I missed when she mentioned it earlier.
Yeah, no.
Sorry. Again, so it's my brain and my hearing and my eyes. How am I still alive?
It was the hotel. It was. Do you know when you watch a horror movie and you think it's a movie? It doesn't happen in real life. And then we got to this hotel and it was just like, oh, these things do happen because it was like we were sitting in the dark and we were sitting at one end of the hotel, and what's the name of that film with the thing with the woman's like
Exorcist.
no, she walks on her.
The Ring? Are you talking about she
The
comes
Ring.
out of a well? Yeah, The Ring.
Oh yeah, that was creepy as hell.
Yeah, we were watching this thing crawl around the floor and.
Oh, yeah.
But it was just a black shadow just crawling around the floor, and it was like something, like I say, it was like for a movie. And
Crawling? Was it a shape or did it have limbs?
it had limbs. It was a shape. It was like it had limbs. It looked like a human, but you couldn't make the person out. And it was just crawling and yeah.
Ew, that's creepy.
It was creepy, and you would hear scratching, and
The woman in the
and we seen a woman in the reflection of the door.
no, it wasn't. It was in the mirror.
Oh, the mirror. Sorry, the mirror. And then we went into one room to investigate, and we were calling out, and the door was already closed, but the door slammed, which gave us all the fright. And then we went into another room, and then the clock on the wall come flying off, and it was just like, what? At one point, I thought this place is being set up for a movie.
It's a good thing you didn't get your clock cleaned by that flying clock.
And it was just, and like I say, the young laddie that's part of the team, he ended up physically no well. He was vomiting. He really took it bad. That was his first ever investigation, and
oh, he had a doozy then.
yeah, he had a wee bit of flopsy.
Yeah, we had a good friend of ours, Animal from Animal Paranormal. Oh, look at my chain fell off. From the Animal, and he was with us on Brushy Mountain investigation a couple weeks ago. I'm not sure if he's on now watching, but he had just a terrible, nasty experience as well. He was, he was overtaken, and I can't remember exactly how he described it, and I don't think it was as if he was taken over and sort of.
He saw something.
He saw something, and he was told something. He was warned, and the warning was not heeded, and something nasty and terrible happened. And again, that's something.
Well, we didn't know about the warning.
We didn't know about the warning. Let's just say there was a crazy event that happened, and it was exactly where the animal, his name's Joshua, exactly where he was warned not to go. And we went, Ernie and Denise with Pac-Man Paranormal were there, and crazy stuff. So, well,
that was very physical.
Yeah. So, well, we're getting close here. We just got a few minutes left. I'm so glad that you guys took time out of, your evening so late to join us. I really do.
No, thank you for asking us on.
Kid, I'm so sorry about me getting your name so wrong the whole time.
You can call him Pet.
What?
She should call you Pet because
My wife is telling another woman to call me Pat. Okay. I don't know what to say. I thought we were in a mutually agreed upon monogamous relationship here.
well, we are.
I'm kidding.
She's all the way over there anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. That's right. Well, you know, guys, I tell you what, it's been really fun. I hope to talk to you guys again. The story about the castle, and I wish we had a little bit more time to go into more detail about that, you know, kind of stretch it out, talk about, like I said, a little bit more detail. That's a heck of a story. Kitt, again, thank you for being on and joining us. I'm sorry we had such audio difficulties.
Sorry. Thank you for having us on.
Absolutely. So, hey, let's keep in touch.
Yeah.
You know, we're on Instagram. I see your stuff. You see After Midnights. I'll get on your Instagram too, Kitt. You know, let's keep in touch. Let's, talk about our investigations and just, network. I'll join your Facebook and all that stuff too. And, get on our groups. We're going to shamelessly plug our social media now. Check out Midnight Wolfpack Productions on YouTube, everyone. We've got live shows, all the past broadcasts. We do investigations live on there, the whole bunch of it. Do a lot of live stuff on Facebook too. Well, once again, I'm going to go ahead and end the broadcast. Gene, Kitt, thanks so much again for being on.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, y'all take care now.
Let's see you. Bye.
Bye-bye. Well, that was fun.
Yes, it was.
By the way, we're still live,
What?
Yeah, we're still live.
What?
We're closing the show down.
Oh.
Hey, we're first-timers, so... well, listen, everybody. Thanks for checking us out. This was the debut show. I personally think it went great. I think... it was interesting conversation, and we're going to have, I got like 3 or 4 more, Ann and I have 3 or 4 more of these shows. We got Matt from London coming on. God, she's going to kill me. Can't remember. I wrote her name down, but I don't. Do what?
Jenny? You talking about Jenny?
Jenny?
Yeah.
From Ireland?
Yes. You talking about Jenny from Ireland?
Yeah, she's got a better brain than I do, I admit it. But yeah, we got Matt from London, Jenny from Ireland. I'm working on a couple other people. I've been talking with somebody in France. I think that would be totally cool. Of course, there's any language barriers. Hey, Milo, that's our Boston Terrier. Sorry, we're going to go ahead and cut this broadcast off. The dog is raising hell. So anyway, thanks again for joining us. Be sure to check back on Midnight Wolfpack Productions YouTube page for all of these new episodes. Check out all the other shows that we have. And until then, see ya.